Hello, you're watching Gravitas. I'm Shreya Upadhyay. Let's get started. On Gravitas tonight, we ask what will be the fate of the latest Ayatollah of Iran. Mojtaba Khamenei succeeds his assassinated father. Will he be a hardliner like his father, or a young leader who stands through Donald Trump's pressure and manages a country in crisis? We also talk about the markets, massive bloodbath in the Asian markets today as oil prices soared and the West Asia conflict deepened further. We get you how the Indian economy has been faring amid all of this chaos. And a look at the dangerous path that Iran might be heading towards. With the apocalyptic scenes witnessed in Tehran, chemical warfare might be a reality that the world will have to grapple with. The war in West Asia has entered its 10th day and the conflict is rapidly expanding across the region. Israel has witnessed its military campaign, launching a fresh wave of strikes across Iran. The Israel Defense Forces say their air force has carried out wide-scale strikes simultaneously in Tehran, Isfahan and southern Iran. The IDF says it targeted infrastructure of the Iranian regime. Israeli strikes have also hit 5 oil facilities in and around Tehran, triggering massive fires and thick plumes of smoke over the capital. At least 4 people have been killed in these attacks, while fuel distribution in Tehran has been temporarily disrupted. Authorities in the city have warned residents that the fumes could be toxic. They have urged people to stay indoors as a dark haze continues to hang over the Iranian capital. The conflict is also taking a toll on America's forces in the region. The U.S. military has confirmed that a service member has died after being wounded in Saudi Arabia. This marks the 7th American combat death since this war began. The IRGC has claimed that it has shot down 2 U.S. MQ-9 drones in Bushehr province and another drone over Tehran. The drones were reportedly destroyed in the districts of Jam and Hormozd. As this war expands, Washington is now stepping up its military posture. Reports say that the U.S. is preparing to deploy a 3rd aircraft carrier to the region, the USS George H.W. Bush, which has completed its pre-deployment training and could soon head toward the eastern Mediterranean. American President Donald Trump has said that the decision to end this ongoing war with Iran will be taken jointly with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump said that the timing of the war's end would be a mutual decision, though he indicated that he would make the final call at the appropriate moment. Meanwhile, this war has spilled on to Lebanon. Israel has renewed strikes in Beirut's southern suburbs, targeting branches of the Hezbollah-linked financial network Al-Qard Al-Hassan Association. The strike killed at least 1 person. The Israel Defense Forces say the target was a financial network used by Hezbollah to fund its operations. Israel had already been striking Hezbollah positions in Lebanon despite a 2024 ceasefire, but the intensity of these attacks has risen sharply since the war with Iran began. Now, as the fighting expands, Iran has also intensified its retaliatory strikes across the region. Missiles and drones have been fired at Israel and multiple Gulf countries, including Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. In central Israel, Iranian missile strikes have left at least one person dead and several others injured. 16 people have been killed from the Israeli side so far. Remember, more than 1,354 have been killed in Iran and more than 10,000 have been injured. Across the Gulf, air defense systems are busy as countries attempt to intercept incoming threats. In Bahrain, Iranian drones targeted the Sitra area, which is damaging buildings and vehicles in the region. Bahrain's health ministry has confirmed this attack. Debris scattered across streets and thick smoke seen over the area. Iranian strikes in Bahrain also targeted the Al Mamir oil facility, triggering a massive blaze at the complex. In Kuwait, the defense ministry of the country said that Iranian drones targeted fuel storage tanks at the Kuwait International Airport. In Saudi Arabia, a projectile struck a residential area in Al-Kharj, which is the south of Riyadh. One Bangladeshi national was killed, while 12 others were injured in this attack. Saudi authorities said a drone attack on the Kheibar oil field near the UAE border was successfully foiled. The United Arab Emirates reported that its air defense systems detected 16 ballistic missiles during the latest wave of attacks. Officials say 15 were intercepted, while one fell into the sea. In Qatar, meanwhile, defense authorities said that a missile targeting the capital Doha was intercepted. Explosions were reported across the city, while warning sirens sounded in Manama as the region faced yet another moment of escalation. The Qatari Prime Minister has accused Iran of betraying Doha by attacking Gulf countries. Iran has pushed back against several claims. Tehran has denied attacking Turkey, Cyprus and Azerbaijan, calling those reports as false flag operations. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson said that there was no point in discussing diplomacy, adding that Iran's priority is retaliation against America and Israeli attacks. The conflict has also drawn in NATO defenses. Turkey says a ballistic missile fired from Iran was intercepted over the eastern Mediterranean by NATO air defense systems. Debris from the interception fell in the Turkish province of Gaziantep. No casualties were reported, but remember, this marks the second such incident in the last 5 days. This escalating war has been triggering safety warnings as well for foreign nationals. The Embassy of India in Bahrain has issued a fresh advisory urging Indian nationals to exercise caution, follow local laws, and adhere to safety guidelines. The Government of India has said priority assistance will be given to tourists and short-term visa holders in Bahrain. As this war enters its second week, the conflict is no longer limited to Iran and Israel. Missiles, drones and airstrikes are all now impacting multiple countries across the Gulf and the Eastern Mediterranean, raising fears that the West Asia war could expand into a much wider regional conflict. A dangerous new phase is unfolding in the Iran war. This time, the targets are not cities or bases, but the eyes of the American military. Iran seems to be systematically striking US radar installations across the region. If those eyes go blind, the next wave of attacks could be far deadlier. Watch our special report on this.
Something unusual is happening on the battlefield. Explosions are being reported at strategic sites, radar installations, early warning systems, military surveillance hubs. Now the picture is becoming clear. Iran is systematically targeting American radar facilities across the region in a calculated attempt to weaken the defensive shield of Pentagon. These radar systems are critical. They detect incoming missiles, track drones, provide early warning to US forces and allied bases. Take them out and response time collapses. Reports say at least 5 US radar sites were identified and targeted in recent Iranian operations. The strikes appear precise, carefully planned, not random retaliation. Military analysts believe the strategy is simple: blind the radar, then strike harder. From Jordan to Qatar to Bahrain to Kuwait, several American military bases have come under attack, and on target were these radars costing hundreds of millions of dollars. Without early warning, even the most advanced air defense systems struggle to intercept high-speed ballistic missiles or swarms of drones. And there may be another layer to this operation. According to Western officials, Russia is believed to be providing intelligence support to Tehran. Satellite surveillance and targeting data could be helping Iran locate sensitive US installations with greater accuracy. If true, it would mean the battlefield is no longer limited to one region. It would mean a silent intelligence war is shaping the missiles that follow. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps has already demonstrated growing precision in recent strikes. By taking out the sensors, Iran has ensured that the next wave of missiles won't just be detected late, they might not be detected at all. The American eyes in the sky are being damaged, leaving the world's most powerful military in the dark, in the middle of a war. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
The war in West Asia has had a massive impact on global energy markets. Oil prices are soaring, financial markets are nervous, and its impact is now showing on India's economy as well. The Indian rupee slipped past 92 against the US dollar once again, falling to an all-time low. And the reason is simple. Investors around the world are heading toward the safety of the dollar as geopolitical tensions rise. At the same time, oil prices have surged sharply since the war began on the 28th of February. Brent crude is now trading at around $117 a barrel. That is a jump of more than 50% since the war began 10 days ago. For India, that is a serious concern. India, remember, is the world's third largest importer of crude oil. More than 85% of its oil needs come from abroad. When oil prices climb, India's import bill rises immediately. In fact, economists estimate that every $1 increase in crude prices adds roughly 16,000 crore rupees to India's import bill. According to experts, a $10 increase in the price of Brent crude oil could worsen the trade gap by 0.3 to 0.4% of the GDP. And when the rupee weakens at the same time, the situation becomes even more expensive because India has to spend more rupees to buy the same barrel of oil, which is priced in dollars. So far, the Indian government has said that there are no immediate plans to raise petrol or diesel prices, but it is important to note that any rise in fuel costs affect nearly every part of the economy. Transport becomes expensive, logistics costs rise, manufacturing costs go up, and eventually businesses pass these costs to consumers. And that means households could pay more than everyday essential. Remember, from vegetables and groceries to delivery services and travel. Economists warn that if oil prices remain elevated for a long time, inflation could soon accelerate and slow down consumer spending. There's another concern. A weaker rupee also makes other imports more expensive, including fertilizers, chemicals, and electronic components that are used by Indian industries. Global investors tend to pull the money out of emerging markets during periods of uncertainty. And when that happens, it puts additional pressure on currencies like the rupee. And there's also A crucial link between West Asia and millions of Indian families. Remember, around 9 million Indians work across the Gulf region, and the money they send home forms a crucial economic lifeline, accounting for nearly 38% of India's total remittance inflows. Any prolonged conflict that slows economic activity in the region could impact jobs and incomes for migrant workers and reduce the flow of remittances to households in India. India, by the way, is the world's largest recipient of remittances, and therefore it has a major role in supporting the country's economy. Just for perspective, let's tell you how money sent home by Indians working abroad accounts for as much as 3.5% of India's GDP. Remittances, in fact, make a larger contribution to the economy than exports to the United States. So for now, the big question is how long the conflict lasts, because the longer this war continues, the more the economic tremors in West Asia could be felt in homes and markets across India. The war in West Asia is now shaking the global oil market. Iran's powerful military wing has issued a stark warning. Rein in the US and Israel or brace for $200 oil. Energy markets are already rattling. Prices are swinging wildly within hours, and the world economy is feeling the shockwaves.
The bombs are falling on the battlefield. West Asia is ablaze. The tremors are felt in global markets. Traders are watching every missile launch, every strike, every threat. Because the next target in this war may not just be a military base, but the global energy supply. As fighting intensifies, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps issues a blunt warning to Gulf states. Control Washington and Tel Aviv or prepare for oil prices soaring to $200 a barrel. It is not an empty threat. West Asia sits at the heart of the world's energy arteries. Tankers move through narrow sea lanes. Pipelines stretch across fragile terrain. The raging war is already making the markets jittery. In the past 24 hours alone, the benchmark Brent crude oil price surged dramatically, climbing to around $119 per barrel as fears of disruption gripped traders. Then came another sharp twist. Prices stabilized to nearly $100 within hours, a swing of more than $15 in a single day, a sign of extreme volatility. Analysts say such violent movements usually signal panic in the market.
For countries in East Asia, except for Malaysia and Indonesia, everybody else is a net importer of oil, and that will create inflationary pressure, and also, of course, that will bring on economic damage, and certainly economic growth will slow and the inflation will pick up.
Iran's warning appears aimed directly at Gulf governments that host American military bases and maintain close ties with Washington. The message pressured the United States and Israel to stop the war, or the region's energy lifeline could become the next battlefield. For now, the missiles and drones continue to fly. But in trading rooms from London to Singapore, the focus is already shifting, because if oil truly climbs towards $200 a barrel, the economic shock could spread far beyond the war zone. And this conflict would no longer be just a regional war. It would become a global economic crisis. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
What is the fate of Iran's new Ayatollah? That is now the question at the heart of a rapidly escalating war in West Asia. When the strikes that killed Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei last weekend, the justification from Washington was loud and clear. Stop Iran's nuclear ambitions and trigger regime change in Tehran. Operation Epic Fury was presented as a decisive blow to the Islamic Republic, a strike that would supposedly shatter Iran's leadership and weaken its ability to project power across the region. But just days later, that central objective appears far from achieved. Iran has moved quickly to announce a successor, Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the late supreme leader. The image on your screen has been posted from the official X account linked to Iran's supreme leadership. This picture is a symbolism of power after the death of Ali Khamenei, showing him standing before a mirror holding the Iranian flag. But the reflection reveals his son, Mojtaba Khamenei. This picture carries a legacy and a message as well to the United States, that the clerical establishment remains firmly in control even as the US and Israel continue military strikes across the region. In many ways, that decision undercuts one of Washington's main war goals. If regime change was indeed the objective, the system appears to have survived and in fact even consolidated around an Ayatollah. So who is Iran's new Ayatollah? At 56 years old, Mojtaba Khamenei has long remained one of the most mysterious figures in Iranian politics. Born in 1969 in Mashhad, he is the second son of Ali Khamenei. He studied at Tehran's Alawi school before pursuing religious education in the holy city of Qom. Unlike many powerful figures in Iran, Mojtaba has kept an extremely low public profile. He has never held elected office. In fact, he has rarely given public speeches or even interviews, and only a handful of photographs and videos of him exist in public domain. Yet, despite this quiet presence, his influence has long been the subject of intense speculation. For years, analysts and opposition figures have accused him of acting as a gatekeeper to his father, with alleged links to the powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or the IRGC, and commanders of the Basij militia. Some reports even claim that he played a role behind the scenes in the Iranian presidential elections, which raises the big question: will Mojtaba Khamenei be different from his father? Well, Ali Khamenei was known for his hardline stance against the United States and the West. His stance was shaped in part by the bitter memories of the Iran-Iraq war, when Washington had backed Iraq. Many analysts believe that Mojtaba is likely to continue that same hardline approach, especially given his close ties with Iran's security establishment. But his low profile also leaves room for uncertainty. Is he simply a caretaker of his father's legacy, or could he emerge as a different kind of leader for Iran? A Bloomberg report links Mojtaba Khamenei to an extensive global financial network. He reportedly oversees investments stretching from Tehran to Dubai and Frankfurt. Reports describe layers of shell companies as well, managing assets tied to oil revenues. The holdings allegedly include shipping operations in the Persian Gulf, bank accounts in Switzerland, and luxury properties in the United Kingdom. Donald Trump has already made his position clear. Just hours before the succession was announced, Trump warned that anyone taking over without his approval will not last long. Earlier, he had been even more blunt, saying Khamenei's son is unacceptable to me. Israel has already described him as a potential target.
But it seems to me that any leader who comes up and says, I'm going to continue the campaign to destroy this country, then Israel is duty-bound to try to eliminate him. If there's a different leader who comes out and says, listen, I'm going to change the way Iran interacts with its neighbors and the way it looks at the world, the way we see Iran's role in the region and globally, then Israel would have no problem with it.
But the reality on ground tells a more complicated story. The war has not brought this regime collapse, Washington predicted. Iran continues retaliatory strikes across the region, and the clerical establishment has quickly closed ranks around a new supreme leader. US strikes, meanwhile, have targeted Iran's missile programs, drone capabilities, naval assets, and even the internal security forces used by the state to crush dissent. So what has Donald Trump achieved, and what remains out of reach? Well, the war has dealt a dramatic blow to Iranian leadership, but the regime change has not happened. The future of Iran's nuclear program remains uncertain at the moment, and the new Ayatollah now stands at the center of a conflict that will define the next chapter in this war as well as West Asia. So the big question now, will Mojtaba Khamenei survive the pressure of war, or will Trump once again try to change the course of Iran's leadership? The fate of Iran's new Ayatollah hangs in balance. It's day 10 of the US-Israel war on Iran, and the skies over West Asia are turning more dangerous by the hour. American and Israeli jets are hammering Iranian targets with relentless strikes. But now, Iranian forces are firing back with heavier, deadlier missiles now punching through defenses. And the battlefield is shifting fast.
The bombardment has been relentless. American bombers and Israeli fighter jets have been pounding Iran for days, striking military bases, command centers and missile facilities across the country. Explosions have rocked Tehran. Smoke columns have risen over strategic sites. Warplanes have hit multiple oil depots in and around Tehran, igniting huge fires and sending thick black smoke across the skyline. These are images from Tehran showing the devastation.
In addition, last night we attacked fuel depots used by the regime's military forces and used to operate military infrastructure. In the past 24 hours, the IDF has attacked more than 140 targets of the Iranian regime using more than 900 munitions.
Washington calls it a campaign to cripple Iran's war machine. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised many surprises in the next phase of the war. But beneath the roar of airstrikes, Iran has been preparing its answer. Sirens screamed across Israel as air defense systems scrambled to respond to a new wave of Iranian ballistic missiles. These are now routine barrage. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps says it fired some of its most advanced missiles, including the Kheibar Shekan missile, the Imad missile and the Qadr missile.
Our arsenal of heavy missiles, ballistic and cruise missiles, as well as various drones and attack vessels have been supplied in line with the requirements of a large-scale and prolonged war.
According to Iranian statements, several of the missiles carried cluster warheads designed to scatter multiple explosives across wide areas after impact. The smaller multiple warheads makes interception far more difficult. Analysts say the barrage appears carefully planned. Some missiles fly high and fast, others maneuver during the phase of flight. The aim is to overwhelm Israel's layered air defense network, and in some cases, the missiles are getting through. Since February 28, Israel and the US claim to have struck over 6,000 targets across Iran. They say that the attacks have severely depleted Iranian missile and drone facilities. But with every new strike, Iran shows that it still has the firepower to inflict damage. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
We're slipping into a break. Coming up on the other side, are Trump and Netanyahu on the same page when it comes to regime change in Iran? Are the two leaders speaking in very different tones? Also on Gravitas, why are the skies over West Asia turning more dangerous by the hour? We get you a report on how Iranian forces are firing back with heavier, deadlier missiles, changing the battlefield dimension. As the West Asia war intensifies, America and Israel continue to target Iran. While the US President Donald Trump has publicly sounded indecisiveness on the possibility of sending ground troops, it is now emerging that America and Israel are in discussions regarding sending special forces to Iran. As per reports, a potential ground invasion is being linked to securing Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium. U.S. intelligence estimates suggest that Tehran possesses around 450 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%, which could be further enriched to weapons-grade level. The nuclear sites of Natanz, Fordow and Isfahan, which were struck by America last year, can be targeted if a ground invasion does take place. And this is because most of the uranium stockpile is believed to be in the underground tunnels of the nuclear facility in Isfahan, while the rest is split between Fordow and Natanz. The discussions have reportedly focused on either removing this material from Iran altogether or bringing in nuclear experts to dilute it on site. One of the other aims of sending troops into Iran is reportedly to seize the Kharg Island, which is located 25 kilometers off Iran's coast near Bushehr province. While it is only about 6 kilometers long, the strategic value of this island is immense for Tehran. A petrochemical facility was jointly developed here in 1969 by the National Iranian Oil Company and US-based American Oil Company. This island was linked by pipelines to both offshore oil fields as well as mainland oil fields in Khuzestan. By early 1970s, this infrastructure transformed Kharg into Iran's largest oil loading terminal. At present, it has the capacity of loading up to 7 billion barrels of oil every day. It also handles nearly 90% of Iran's oil exports. And during the Iran-Iraq war in the 1980s, it was bombed by Saddam Hussein's forces on multiple occasions. Incidentally, Donald Trump has not outrightly ruled out sending troops to seize this very island.
There's an oil facility kind of on the coast of Iran that could be secured by ground troops. There's been some speculation that could be a target.
I don't know what the speculation is, but I certainly wouldn't be able to tell you that. I'd be in trouble with myself if I told you that.
But remember, this is not the first time that America is eyeing a takeover of the Kharg Island. 47 years ago, the then US President Jimmy Carter also considered attacking this same island in retaliation for the Americans being held hostage at the US Embassy in Tehran. According to declassified documents, the US military officials flagged the risks involved during a National Security Council meeting. For instance, they highlighted that at least 1,000 Iranian military personnel were stationed at this island. Jimmy Carter also stressed that other allies such as France, UK and Japan may not be able to do and withstand the repercussions resulting from a freeze on the oil exports from this island. And eventually, the plan was dropped. With Iran resisting pressure from US and Israel and retaliating against them, it now remains to be seen whether ground deployment of troops will be a viable solution to give them an edge. Israel faces serious allegations of carrying out chemical attacks on Lebanon as tensions escalate in the Iran war. While Israel denies this allegation, Lebanon says nearly 400 people have been killed in an Israeli offensive. Take a look at this report for more details.
Back-to-back explosions and intense plumes of smoke clouded the skyline. Over a year of brief ceasefire, Lebanon finds itself on the edge once again. Israel is carrying out a series of heavy airstrikes targeting Hezbollah's stronghold in the south. Hezbollah fighters, on the other hand, have deployed their best troops on the front line. Every day, about 100 rockets and drones are launched from Lebanon towards Israel. As Israel scales up strikes on Lebanon, a new storm of controversy is engulfing the strikes. Human Rights Watch has accused Israel of firing white phosphorus shells over a residential town in southern Lebanon, triggering fires and raising fears of severe civilian harm. It claims the Israeli military has unlawfully used artillery-fired white phosphorus munitions over homes in the southern Lebanese town of Yomor on March 3rd. White phosphorus is a chemical substance used in artillery shells, bombs and rockets that ignites on contact with oxygen. It is capable of burning human flesh down to the bone. Even for survivors who suffer only small burns, there is a persistent and life-threatening risk of infection, respiratory damage and organ failure. The Israeli military has previously maintained that it uses the substance primarily as a smoke screen to mask troop movements and not to target civilians. However, human rights advocates argue that its use in populated areas is a clear violation of international law. As the fighting rages on, more than 500,000 people in Lebanon have been displaced.
Since the ceasefire in 2024, every day we in the south, whether a member of the resistance or not, have been subjected to killings with or without a reason, until Hezbollah responded. After being commanded to clear the south, thousands fled to the extent that the highway had no space for people to reach a hospital. I was a 22-year-old girl who gave birth in the street. What values are these? What justice is that?
They are targeting children. We have not seen anyone from the Lebanese army or the government come and stand with us. We are moving the martyrs from the ground. Is the conspiracy only against the people of the south?
Lebanon was drawn into the war last week when Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah attacked Israel in response to the killing of Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei during the Israel-US strikes. As the conflict spreads across the region, the latest accusations of Israel using banned ammunition threaten to add a new and dangerous dimension to an already explosive war. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Well, here's a question. Is all well in the Israeli and American camp? While both countries commence joint operations with Iran, an attack on its oil depots and resulting acid rain has laid bare the cracks within. Large explosions rocked Tehran when Israel hit fuel depots and refineries in Iran over the weekend. While Israel has justified its action by claiming that these facilities were being used to supply fuel to the military, Tehran has dubbed it as a war crime. Now, this has left Tehran gasping for breath, with thick plumes of smoke rising over the skyline and the smell of burning oil lingering in the air. Parts of Iran reportedly witnessed acid rain following the oil depot strikes. And after this, residents experienced headaches and difficulty in breathing. The environment fallout of this cannot be understated. As per the Iranian Red Crescent, rainfall in the wake of such a strike can be highly dangerous and acidic. It is likely to contain a variety of toxic pollutants which can cause chemical skin burns and severe lung damage. In fact, the ongoing fire at the site of the strikes may take weeks to extinguish, as seen from past examples in Kuwait and Iraq. Breaking ranks with Israel, U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright has stressed that America will not attack Iran's energy infrastructure. He's pinned the responsibility of the strikes entirely on Israel and sought to downplay concerns over the soaring oil prices. According to reports, this incident has become a major point of disagreement between United States and Israel. While America was notified of the strikes by Israel, Trump reportedly did not like this attack. American officials are believed to have expressed concern that strikes on infrastructure that serves ordinary Iranians could backfire strategically. The footage of the burning depots could spook oil markets and push energy prices even higher. An attack on Iran's energy infrastructure is also seen as a blow to Trump's broader game plan of selling the country's potential oil as a leading oil producer to investors. While the script played out perfectly in Venezuela's case earlier this year, remember Trump's equations can be impacted if Iran's oil production reduces. Iran is not taking this lightly. The IRGC has threatened retaliation against oil facilities in the neighboring countries if the strikes on its energy infrastructure continue. It also warned that the price of oil may cross $200 per barrel. In another sign that it does not want to be seen as targeting vital infrastructure, America has denied Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi's claim of striking a freshwater desalination plant on the Qasem Island in southern Iran. Both sides have differed over their reaction to Iran's new supreme leader as well. While Israel's military has declared its intention of eliminating Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's successor, Donald Trump has been more circumspect. While expressing his unhappiness over Mojtaba Khamenei's appointment, he declined to give a detailed assessment. In fact, the US president said, and I quote him, "We will see what happens." Previously, remember, reports had suggested that Netanyahu was concerned about the US pursuing back-channel talks with the Iranians and exploring a potential ceasefire before all of Israel's war objectives have been achieved. Now, this raises a key question. Is the war panning out as per Netanyahu's terms rather than Trump's agenda? One wonders who will blink first as the world is being gripped by an energy crisis. As US and Israel's war against Iran has spread to West Asia, allegations and counter-allegations have been flying hard. This time, a fresh row has broken out over the alleged targeting of a desalination plant. As the UAE continues to bear the brunt of Iran's attacks, several Israeli media reports claim that the UAE carried out a strike on an Iranian desalination facility in what would have been its first retaliatory strike. However, the UAE has debunked this speculation. Rashid Al-Nujami, the chairperson of the Defense Affairs Committee of UAE's Federal National Council, made his country's stance amply clear. He said, "This is fake news. When we do something, we have the courage to announce it." Earlier, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi had accused America of targeting a freshwater desalination plant on the Qasem Island in southern Iran. He said that the strike had set a dangerous precedent, leading to hampering water supply in 30 villages. Now, as they convert seawater into water that is suitable for drinking, remember, desalination plants are of utmost significance in West Asia, where water is scarce due to the arid climate and irregular rainfall. This latest face-off between the UAE and Israel is a reminder of their fragile coordination over the Iran conflict. It can potentially risk damaging the diplomatic and security ties between the two countries, which normalized in 2020 under the US-brokered Abraham Accords. Earlier in the day, UAE's defense ministry revealed that its air defense system has been responding to the incoming missile and drone threats from Iran. So far, the UAE has claimed to have intercepted 1,359 drones, 233 ballistic missiles, and 8 cruise missiles coming from Iran. Previously, Dubai and Abu Dhabi international airports came under attack. Fire erupted close to the US embassy in Dubai as well, owing to an Iranian drone attack. The UAE also released footage of its air defenses intercepting and destroying alleged Iranian drones that attempted to target the country. In fact, they have stressed that there will be no compromise when it comes to sovereignty. Although the Gulf nations have stopped short of launching retaliatory strikes against Iran until now, there is, remember, no sign of the conflict abating. And this is because Iran has warned of attacks against any country whose territory is used for American and Israeli strikes on its territory. The West Asia war continues across multiple fronts, claiming casualties, mobilizing military with a global energy crisis looming. Take a look. During a period when tensions between American President Donald Trump and UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer over Britain's role in the war in West Asia has recently simmered, is London preparing to send one of its warships to the region? Well, as per the UK Ministry of Defence, the country's aircraft carrier HMS Prince of Wales has been placed on advanced readiness. The crew has been instructed to prepare for deployment to West Asia reportedly with just 5 days' notice. This despite Donald Trump making it clear on his social media post that the United States does not need British aircraft carriers. But there's even a bigger catch here that perhaps reflects Britain's ongoing naval crisis, because if the carrier sails, Britain may reportedly not have enough warships of its own to protect it. A carrier strike group normally requires destroyers, frigates and submarines. Remember, these vessels guard the carrier against missile attacks, submarines and hostile aircraft. But the British Royal Navy reportedly faces a severe shortage of operational warships. Britain officially has 6 destroyers, but only one, which is the HMS Dragon, is reportedly ready for deployment. That ship is already preparing to sail to the eastern Mediterranean to help defend British bases in Cyprus. And so the situation with frigates is reportedly not much better. Out of 7 frigates, only 2 are reportedly operational, while the rest remain stuck in maintenance or battling technical problems. Submarines tell a similar story. Britain operates 6 attack submarines, but only 1 is currently active, and it is deployed thousands of kilometers away in Australia. Britain's other aircraft carrier, HMS Queen Elizabeth, is also reportedly unavailable as it sits in dry dock in Scotland. And so that leaves Britain in a rather peculiar position. Remember, if the Prince of Wales sails into a tense region, it may have to rely on Allied warships for protection. France could reportedly step in here. The French aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle has reportedly entered the Mediterranean, escorted by warships, including a Spanish frigate. If the British carrier moves further toward the Gulf of Oman or the Arabian Sea, protection may even come from the United States, possibly from the strike group led by the American carrier USS Abraham Lincoln. There have been several incidents recently where British ships have been endangered in West Asia. Last November, remember, a British military ship was hit by a projectile, setting it ablaze in the Gulf of Aden. Houthi rebels were suspected to be behind this attack. Former UK Royal Navy Chief Alan West said that Britain should be deeply worried about the shrinking size of its navy. Years of defence cuts have reportedly taken their toll. At the start of this year, UK's defence chief said that Britain's armed forces are not ready for a full-scale conflict and lack the funding that is needed for rapid modernization. And despite possessing one of the world's most advanced aircraft carriers, UK appears to be struggling to assemble the fleet needed to protect it. Shifting focus, they say love can lead you to do big things in life. Well, we'll get you a story of how love can literally carry you to victory. In the hills of Dorking, dozens of competitors gathered for one of Britain's most unusual sporting traditions, the UK wife-carrying race. Yes, you heard that right. Contestants raced along a 380-meter obstacle course on the Noah, carrying their partners on their backs while dodging hay bales, splashing through mud, and even enduring attacks from spectators who were armed with water pistols and buckets. Despite all of this chaos and the cold, one couple managed to literally run away with the title. Finland's Timu and Jata were crowned this year's champions, proving that teamwork goes a long way. And their prize was not a trophy, but a barrel of local ale. Remember, this race makes participants carry their wife, which essentially could be your wife or even one's husband, friend, or a family member, basically a partner who will be carried. But many competitors rely on a technique called the Estonian hold, where the rider hangs upside down on the runner's back with their legs hooked in front of the runner's face. This may look unusual, but apparently it's the fastest way to cross the finish line. The quirky contest has Nordic roots and gained global fame after World Championships began in Finland in 1996. The UK version, organized by the Leith Hill Trail Runners, has been delighting crowds since 2008. India created history in Ahmedabad by becoming the first team to win back-to-back titles. This victory is special for Indian cricket. This is a team without the superstars of the past, no Virat Kohli, no Rohit Sharma, yet the team still managed to win. Led by captain Surya Kumar Yadav and coached by Gautam Gambhir, the side focused on the collective. Personal milestones took a backseat. The priority was always the team and the result. Surya Kumar is also unlike other captains before him. In fact, he does not even like the word captain. He prefers to be called a leader. He's an international latecomer. He made his debut only in his 30s and is not even the captain of his IPL team. Kapil Dev, MS Dhoni and Rohit Sharma were the only captains to lead India to World Cup glory. Three towering figures of Indian sport who led with remarkable authority and presence. And now, Surya Kumar stands alongside them with a historic victory of his own.
I think Surya has made my life a lot easier in this format. I think he's a phenomenal leader. I think, yes, he very rightly mentioned that he doesn't want to be called as a captain. He wants to be called as a leader because leader is a far bigger figure, father figure in a dressing room than a captain. And again, I think my simple philosophy with Surya has always been that milestones don't matter. It's the trophies that matter.
Now, this tournament was not about one individual. Contributions came from all corners of the team. But two players who stood out were Jasprit Bumrah and Sanju Samson. Sanju Samson did not play a single match when he was part of India's squad at the 2024 T20 World Cup. In fact, he's also entered this year's tournament under pressure after a string of low scores in the 5-match T20 International Series against New Zealand. But with Abhishek Sharma struggling for form, Samson found his rhythm at the right time and played a key role in helping India win yet another T20 World Cup. The 31-year-old scored half-centuries in India's last 3 matches of the tournament. He finished with 321 runs from 5 innings with an impressive strike rate of 199.37. Samson later revealed that he sought advice from several senior players and even reached out to Sachin Tendulkar ahead of Sunday's final. Since winning the 2024 T20 World Cup, the Indian men's team has been on a remarkable run. They won the 2025 Champions Trophy and then successfully defended their title at this year's T20 World Cup as well. Under the new leadership, India has recorded an 84% win rate in T20 internationals between 2024 and 26 tournaments, making them a dominant force in the format. And on that wonderful note, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas. But as always, we'll keep getting you news and analysis from around the world, as well as the latest from the West Asia conflict. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Bye-bye.